that to his fans, but it is still wild. We talked about it a lot in spring season, but now Ryu facing Faker, as Faker has stayed the mid laner, the one fixture of T1, and Ryu has traveled the world, has now moved on to being a coach, and Faker is just still here.
What we need is the camera guy to like zoom in on Ryu's face when T1 locks in something that's unanswerable on their side, just so that we can get a little bit of a taste of the Ryu reaction shot once again.
I would love to see it.
It'd be absolutely fantastic. Hopefully we can get that one worked out. There is still another matchup in the future we could probably figure out.
Now, take a look at these bans so far here. I think there's no shock in what Live Sandbox have done here. The Milio that empowers the playstyle we've seen from Guma thus far is just also extremely safe, very broken for what he does in lane right now. Take him away. Nico, similar story here. But the third ban on red side is always the one that gets a little bit contentious. Do you ban Draven? Do you ban Lucian? Or do you take away the Cassante? It is Zeus, of course. So now you've given T1 the opportunity to do a lot of different things here, right? They could pick up the Yuumi, go for a Yuumi Zeri type game, force Live Sandbox to try to play crit Zeri here without the Yuumi, a little bit more difficult. And they could have, of course, just said, you know, we're going to do something else entirely and gone for the Draven. Maokai is also available, but they just decided to take the Yuumi away.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I entirely agree. I feel like Yuumi Aphelios has been a decent lane, but you kind of sacrifice so much power in the early stages of the game, and now Live Sandbox very happily picked the Zeri away to deny that combination, and you can still pick Lulu, you can still pick Rakan, like plenty of other things if you would like to. Kyle has a large champion pool he can delve into, and this is exactly what the conversation was before, the Azir Hover coming in for Oner, but I think the Aphelios was definitely going to happen, and there it is, and we'll see now where they're going to deviate, and there it is, the Emperor Shurima himself, and it's Faker playing it.
I do like this pick into Ahri as well, specifically because it's not Annie. They banned the Annie away, and now you can get a little bit of lane prio here against the Ahri, and it's going to make your life a lot easier on the bottom side of the map with the Yuumi Aphelios, regardless of what Willer is going to play here. Yuumi Aphelios has been fairly weak in the laning phase, but against Zeri, when you see that one face up, you feel like you're pretty good in terms of what you're going to be able to do. There's not a lot of pressure here. Now, they could change that narrative a little bit here by picking up this Nautilus, and the cool thing about this Nautilus pick is that it's actually still flexible here in this draft. It could be played by Willer if they want to change this up and actually play a different Enchantress support like Lulu, for example, for the Zeri. So, you know, you can look at this bottom lane now in multiple ways here. And I think that this is a really nice strategy here for Live Sandbox, as the Nautilus does have some pressure in lane, but could be flexed otherwise if you just want to play the Lulu.
Kind of interested to see what they're going to go for here, as already Sejuani and Viego being banned away. That is 4 jungle bans already.
And look at the, I mean, with the Viego coming through, it looks like T1 here are pretty certain it is going to be in the bottom lane. I mean, that Willer is looking for some synergy here with the Ahri, but that's one of the safest duos you're going to get with Ahri. Viego, Ahri next to Vi, which is, of course, already banned away, as you mentioned. And yeah, the jungle pool is getting thinned quite significantly here. Wukong already taken away.
Yep, we have to remember as well that this is Willer. The guy plays Graves. Like, he just does things, picks champions that aren't necessarily top of the meta.
Yeah.
So might not be too worried. We know that it's his Elise that is the most scary, but with Ahri already locked in, not likely that we're going to see something like that.
The Gnar here makes it seem like they want to play Gragas on R4 and leave that support jungle pick for the counter pick here. T1 looking to maybe ban that Gragas away now. If they've got another jungle ban they want to do, that's another choice. But Malphite was the other option that's super strong into Aphelios. But you have a lot of peel here, obviously, with Azir. You can, if the Aphelios doesn't get one shot or if he could flash the ultimate, you know, then Emperor's Divide away. You have a lot of damage here, arguably a lot of mobility with the Yuumi. You know, it's not like you're a Zeri, but you've got the Aphelios here. And they'll actually go for the Renekton instead here of the Gragas.
Bertle, very, very comfortable on the Crocodile. Pretty happy about this champion pickup, is he? So T1, ball's in your court, and this holds that flex like you were talking about. We're expecting the Nautilus to head towards that bottom side of the map, but so much adaptation is available. Speaking of flexes, here's the Scion.
Yeah.
Driving into most likely the top lane, but we'll just have to see.
You have to think so, considering it's a little bit weaker in the early parts of the game. They'll pick up the Gragas. That was not taken.
Triple flex.
Triple flex.
Quadra flex. Yuumi, top lane.
I mean, that flexibility, at least being teased here with the Scion, they will lock it in. And now for Live Sandbox, you know, you're looking at this Nautilus that could be a jungle flex, but you're not sure if you actually really want to play this without knowing what the matchup is going to be. A Kindred was considered here, but I actually like the Nocturne a lot more because it allows you to get past all of that peel, the Gragas, the Scion, the Azir, fly into the backline. The Yuumi isn't going to offer that much protection against the Nocturne ultimate. And once the Nocturne gets on top of the Aphelios, then the followable comes from Nautilus, and the Zeri gets the front-to-back team fight. There's a lot of different ways to kill this Aphelios, but also the Azir being fairly fragile, so ult-reliant on whether he can escape. There's a lot of power in this draft here for Live Sandbox.
I kind of like it. I also like the bridge towards Zeri will win us the game that they do have available. Doesn't have the Enchanter, so I think the cap for the amount of Zeri carrying we can see this game isn't quite as high, but we've still seen Zeri's perform just fine without that. Although, you know, with some item tamperings and things like that, she's not necessarily as powerful as she was in the last patch. That didn't really do enough. Guys, just to warn you, Zeri is still the problem that she always was, or was last week at least. But T1, switching things around. I'm not even entirely sure where the Gragas and Scion landed in the end.
Scion is going to be played by Oner, and we will have the Gragas in the top lane. So, you know, it's not the same sort of advantage you can glean from blue side Scion as you could on red side in the early levels, but there's still a lot of power. Can gank early, has great gank assist with the Azir as well, so there's some power here in mid where that kill pressure and that ultimate timing where Faker is looking for, taking that flash away from the enemy Ahri potentially. There's a lot of power, though, as well here in the 2v2 with the Nocturne and the Ahri. I think we're going to have a great first game on our hands here.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see whether Live Sandbox's early game composition, or at least outside of the Zeri, can actually get off the ground. Because if it does, T1 may not have enough. Very excited to see how this one's going to go. Let's hop onto the Rift. All right. T1 fans, a little bit louder than the Live Sandbox fans this time, but we'll see whether the cool kids can win over some hearts after this game one. Because I think there are definitely avenues in, right? Like, I'm looking at this top side of the map for T1, and yes, there is some lane priority here and there. I think that Gragas does fine in the early levels especially. Azir can always shove, things like that. But I think, like, you get to level 6, you're in those skirmishes, things like that. Nocturne hits his level 6 timing. And Live Sandbox have some things that they can do. However, you know, nameplates play a part in games like this, and it might be that T1 just do their buttons a bit better, and then they're off to the races.
Yeah, I think if nameplates were off here, I'd be a little bit concerned about what T1 put together in terms of like how this comp works together in the mid game. It's a little bit disjointed because it has a lot of great initiation, a lot of great engage for the Aphelios. But the protection it offers, while against the normal draft, you'd feel actually really good about this against what Live Sandbox put together. There are just so many threats that it is going to be about the nameplates, right? It is going to be about the skill of these players. And so far, T1 has given us reason enough to trust with drafts like this. Nothing crazy here in terms of the runes. Do see the fleet footwork here from the Aphelios, Lethal Tempo Zeri. And Unsealed from Closer, we've seen so many different variations of the Ahri. We've seen Electrocute, we've seen Fleet Footwork from Faker. But in this particular case, I do like this a lot.
Yep. Fun fact, this is Birdol's 5th game on Renekton. Isn't that crazy? I feel like he's played it way more times than that, but you know, he played on Gen G.
Rascal played more of it,
why would you play Renekton if you're substituting for Rascal, right? Like, that makes the sub feel real silly. Because Rascal was the Renekton guy. So yeah, just not having that opportunity. Might have been that Nogri came in and played more of it as well when he came back to the D plus Kia roster that Birdle was a part of.
I was joking about this earlier about, oh my god, I think I legit made this joke to Ox a few days ago, or maybe it was even yesterday, about, hold that thought though,
yeah, Birdle could be in trouble here. The Alcove Gaming, I think it might be an Alcove Grave here for Birdle, as he is at least moving the Scion around and being frustrated. Slice, dice, what? He's alive! He doesn't even have to flash! What is this? He's a god! Yeah. Why have you only played 4 games of Renekton?
That was pretty clean, and I think that Zeus and Oner could have tried to line a Q up there, do some additional damage, maybe force him to flash, and then corral him to the left side of the alcove there, but they kind of allowed him to happy feet his way to getting that E cooldown back up and then getting the double dash out there. Pretty easy stuff. Body slam used early there for Zeus, but with no follow-up, unfortunately, for Oner. So Birdall is able to slice and dice his way away. Will have to burn his teleport here with the damage taken, but you'll take it absolutely with that commitment there to the top side of the map.
100%. Like that one a lot. And saving the flash.
Yeah, I mean, that's massive.
Yeah. Should be able to get a fair bit of shove as well, especially now that he has hit that level 3. You want all your buttons before you can do things. As, yeah, 71% win rate with, like, 100 games played, exactly. He played this. It was the end of the last season, right?
Yeah.
Put in his 100th game on his ear and then parked it for a while. Yeah. Nah, he's pretty good. And 71 win rate with a sample size like that. It's not my favorite kind of sample size, but it's an impressive one, nonetheless. Oh, okay, that's some graviton value that we're getting here, as Teddy is going to sidestep the prowling projectile.
Yeah, 2 longswords picked up here early for Teddy. Getting back to lane, staying even on CS here. Definitely feeling pretty nice about his damage output at this stage. Does have to respect the Infernum poke. Is doing so very well thus far.
Yeah, Teddy actually taking a bit of poke damage here from Keria, but otherwise, I mean, in this lane, the idea is don't die for the Zeri. And then if there is a opportunity, then Kyle can set up for some sort of gank. But I think they'll require Willa, and Willa requires level 6.
Exactly. That's the timing you're looking for here. So the Nautilus losing a lot of early power with a level 6 reliant jungler like Nocturne. But the power is then compounded later on when both the Nautilus and the Nocturne have level 6 themselves. As Closer's doing a good job here in this lane. Did do the faster teleport here, so we'll force Faker to come over here to see how many of these minions he can catch. Probably won't lose too many. And we do finally see that Aphelios back. Grabs the Berserker's Greaves, so Guma gonna get some additional attack speed here. Can, of course, be getting some attack damage off of his passive. A little bit less, of course, on this patch, but not too significant.
Yep, not end of the world or anything like that. And we've seen... It was Gen G banning Aphelios every single game against T1. Like, Gumayusi is pretty good at this champion. He's got his doctorate in 200 years gaming. He's done extraordinarily well.
I think there's 2 schools of thoughts on what you could do with Guma's build in this game, and he's kept it hidden because of the Greaves back here. We have no idea what he's going to be buying, but we've seen Stormrazor still be the most popular option here in Korea despite the nerfs. But against this composition, the added movement speed you're going to get from Stormrazor can only really do so much for you. So I'd wonder if he'll actually go for Kraken Slayer instead and try to break these frontline threats by turning with like an Azir with a Scion and try to just burst down something like a Renekton. Really curious, as Gale Force, of course, will be the mythic of choice, but we don't know what that first item is going to be just yet.
Yeah, a few different options, as Willa going to get a bit of value out of his spell shield there. Duskbringer, scooting him around. Not Spooky Ghost Nocturne, so... I mean, I think that Live Sandbox probably lose the game because of that. It's a little bit of a shame. Sometimes skin diff does come through, and that is what's happening here. Spooky Ghost is too good. I mean, I know this is new and has more pixels and stuff, but... Spooky Ghost, man. All right, Willa's going to come down. He's only level 5, but they're trying to battle this one out. Duskbringer not going to really do anything as Teddy has to flash and cleanse. Hook is going to try and get Kyle out of here, but man, that was just Gumayusi Keria standing up and saying, no, we are better, we are stronger, and you have to leave.
Yeah, they did need to leave, in fact, of course, with all that damage coming through red-white guns, and Oner doesn't have level 6, but he could do a hell of a lot more than Nocturne is going to be able to do at level 5 assistance-wise here, and he wasn't even in position. If he had ult, they could have maybe tried to turn that one around, but both summoners now burnt here for an exhaust. So huge win for T1 is going to lead to lane prio here on the bottom side, potentially a plate here for Guma with that Crescendum as well as the Dragon. So a lot of power out of this play. Really nice timing here for T1.
Yep. You can see Willa trying to employ the Gromp to come down and help them out. That's not how that one works, unfortunately, as Oner can come towards his bottom side and immediately drop this Herald if you'd like to, but you might want to utilize the Swifter back if you would like to before you do go for that. Zeus with the tank Gragas, just having a really good time, as we can see.
And now Willer has level 6. We'll see what he wants to do with it, because obviously there's hard push in top and mid right now. 2 solo lanes without teleports. He could threaten here if he wants to. Closer fakes a back, you know, for example, and then comes over here. There is an opportunity off of Raptors to punish Faker, but Faker has flash, he has ult, and he's very well aware of this, so we'll just push this wave in and go to a more defensive setup here. Kyle also doesn't have 6, is seen by this ward, instantly pinged. And these are the moments where you know at this timing as T1, you need to be the most respectful, and they absolutely are.
Yeah. Playing it out very nicely. Bertel does pick up a lot of the CS underneath this turret towards the top side, so he's going to even that thing out. But a Gragas that is just going even and actually losing these trades in the top side is not the one that you want, as Willer has already started off this Rift Herald. We do have an Aphelios on the bottom side of the map as Kyle's looking to try and get out of here. Oner with a cat. He's going to see what he can do to steal this one away. Faker moving in. Closer also here. As Bertel, a lot of value from that Q, but he's still going down extraordinarily low. There's the cast. So much CC here from T1 as the paranoia is utilized. Bertel stays alive though. It's Kyle. The locks down the kill. The Rift Herald's getting in amongst it as well as Bertel. He flashes the ult, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. The final chapter coming through here. The Nocturne is dead, and Kyle's like, guys, where is everyone? What are we doing? The shortest dredge line of all time will spell the end of the Anchor Man. Not Will Ferrell. That is Bad Kyle. Never mind. He survives. You never doubt the man from BioShock. As, oh my goodness, the Q's not going to be enough. Faker does manage to get the Crocodile, and he executes himself on the way out.
Yeah, Closer here at least is going to pick up some plate gold off of the Rift Herald, but that is all they are really going to get. A big win here in the team fight for T1, but it looked like it was going to be a lot worse than it actually was. With a good flash out from Bertel, he survives. They buy a ton of time. Nautilus also getting out Kyle very quickly, flashing at just the right moment there. But this is a weird fight because Faker is here, obviously, and this is what Azir still does on this patch, is he will, Emperor's Divide, he will do a lot, but he's kind of zoned out, so it actually is okay that Closer wasn't here for a majority of this time. He gets in over the wall, Bertel survives here, is able to flash out, and they just don't have the damage just yet. Oner not focusing Bertel, trying to guarantee the Rift Herald. They fail to do so, and it's a little bit of a messy fight here for T1. They still win it, but not the cleanest, as Kyle will just barely be able to flash here. He actually trades flashes on Oner, but they're still able to pick up the Crocodile at the end of the day.
Absolutely nutty that Kyle is able to survive that one, as Faker going to be able to help Keria grab the kill before he does fall down.
And, I mean, they didn't utilize the unsealed spellbook there either. Closer, you know, has this available. Could have tried to have a double smite setup, but it wasn't really the way that Live Sandbox went about this. A little bit disjointed for Live Sandbox to join the fight, but the mechanics in the fight itself, you know, better than you'd expect.
Yeah. Kind of liked how it went, and as you can see, 300 gold is in it. There is a Drake on T1's side, so they do have that advantage, and with their composition, which does have just so much CC and teamfight as Willer, not going to get hit by the Emperor's Divide there. Faker was looking to try and get a little bit of value, not going to be able to, as the Umbral Blades will be able to slice through that minion wave, help Willer out, but still gets the flash out of the Nocturne. Very happy about that.
Yeah, certainly are. Faker doing a lot here in this early game, you know, between getting that kill, although it did go over to Keria there on the top side with an execute, not giving any additional gold over. And this game is still fairly even, and this is where you start to have to worry a little bit in terms of the Zeri that is, of course, building Triforce here. Okay, hold on.
Okay. That is going to be Everfrost to slow Faker down. Orbit Deception is all Closer can really get for his ultimate. Faker still 50% of the cooldown of his own, so you can understand why Closer goes for it, but Shifting Sands just hold on the trigger finger is Faker, so he's going to be able to be just fine.
And there is the Kraken Slayer now completed, by the way, for Guma. I actually really like this. I was kind of feeling this is the build of choice here in this game. Have some additional damage. You know, you could chase down a Zeri better if you have the Stormrazor, arguably, but that's not really how I think you want to play this. And so some additional damage is going to be very potent here for this Aphelios and team fights. I think Live Sandbox, while they have the Zeri, and we know that's arguably the stronger part of scaling here, the rest of their comp, not so much, right? They still have a Renekton here on the top side of the map, one who's getting zoned out of some farm potentially here and is just going to now be proxy farm. But I like how this goes for Live Sandbox later on in the game, if and only if they can execute their dives on the Aphelios well. And otherwise, I think Guma is going to have a lot of agency. There's a lot of appeal for him, and the comp is arguably stronger in scaling overall. So let's wait and see how this one goes. You know, it's not a gold lead here for T1 versus Zeri, but I do like this comp in 5v5s.
Prowling Projectile is going to find Closer here on the flank. It doesn't look like any steal is going to be happening, and no follow-up fight going to continue either, as T1 grabbed the second Drake of the game. It will be Chemtech Soul, to the chagrin of everyone in the universe watching this game.
Sad.
It's okay. We've got Mega Blast Cones, and Valdez is here. So we get to talk about that later. Maybe we could just do like a Mega Blast Cone montage on the desk. If you guys are looking for some content ideas, that's my suggestion for you. You could also ignore me if you don't want to tilt Valdez, but I would say that it's the right thing to do. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a viable option. I hope we don't see any more Chemtech souls, so, you know, get your chance while you can, you know?
Yeah,
this is the only one of the day, right? Right?
Yeah.
Please?
Is it like Defense Against the Dark Arts? Is this going to be another one that's disabled, and we're going to try and figure out another Chemtech soul that we can put into the game?
Maybe one day.
Blame Voldemort, man. He must have put a curse on it or something.
I just hope, I mean, I hope that that's actually what happens, but I'm not holding my breath. As the crown is an item that we normally kind of scoff at, we roll our eyes at a lot of the time because it's a very middle-of-the-road item that doesn't empower you to be the best version of yourself. But I like it in this comp because there's so many threats, right? Not just for the Aphelios, but also for Faker. Gives them the best opportunity to have that impactful ultimate no matter what. And you can, of course, opt into a little bit more damage later on because this game is likely going late. You've already got a 2-Drake lead.
Yep.
So nice setup here, I would say.
And Willa diving in, right? Like they need to break that that crown if he's going to do anything to Faker, if he's going to get caught out of position or anything like that. Good anti-Nocturne item.
Yeah.
As Oner is also caught up in farm. Will actually had a decent camp advantage, but no longer the case as they've been able to take some control of this map. Hasn't really translated to gold, and that, you know, obviously for a Zeri, you're like, yes, this is good, as that's not getting hit by stuff, but did have a shield. He'll be A-OK. Faker moving up, does have that crown at the ready. See what is going to happen here.
They don't have enough prio here, Live Sandbox, to actually turn this into a Herald play. I think they really desperately wanted to. Triforce is done here for Teddy, but fortunately, they just don't have any setup here to get a backline pick or any backline access at all, in fact. So I think that they should probably just vacate. They're going to try to teleport for it.
All right, we're going for a 5v5 as Bertle, are you going to be okay, is the question. Sentinel going to turn up here as well, right for the fight. As Q's going to get charged, that is going to be the Rift Herald taken, and now the paranoia comes in. Teddy trying to get the work done. He can't cleanse the Emperor's Divide, though, as Bertle looks for the backline. He gets on top of Gumayusi, and it's somehow Teddy that locks down the kill. Now he's free hitting Zeus, just getting out of there, and the cool kids, they didn't panic, and they're looking to take down T1. Teddy now looking for Oner, who goes down extraordinarily low, and I think that he might be dead. It's going to take a little bit of time.
They're looking for Faker, too, with a teleport here from Closer. Faker will get out.
Yep, Faker gets out. Oner is just walking to... Yeah, I think, yeah, he's just dead. And they did buy a lot of time, but in the end, the team fight gets won by Live Sandbox. And Wolf, the most important question.
It's certified.
Oh, we're doing it? 2-0?
Yeah, we're doing it. 2-0, we're doing it. Because this fight is just another example as to why Zeri is so incredibly strong right now. So Bertle teleports in, is completely warded away, and then is able to, through Closer's threatening here, get on top of the back line. And look at the amount of damage that's done to Guma so incredibly quickly here with the Empowered W. And once they turn on to Bertle and try to punish him, they're not only free farm for Teddy here, but they also are now on the wrong side of the team fight, have to flash over. Faker gets out. Oner loses his flash and then also is subsequently killed. It's the second kill that goes over to the Zeri here. But Zeri's impact in this fight is already felt this early, and against a team fighting comp that has such a front line as well, right? With the Gragas and the Scion. And yeah, Teddy just reigns supreme here because Bertle was so quick to get on top of the Aphelios. And I think T1's positioning in this fight, a little bit greedy. They were kind of split between let's focus on Bertle on the left side of the fight, but also we want to have control of the pit. And they didn't have really control of either. Live Sandbox now pulling ahead, not in terms of gold massively here, but in terms of tempo.
Yeah, and I can feel Chronicler's pride from here. Bertle making a great play, taking down the 80 carry, and I can just feel it. I mean, this guy was leader of the Bertle fan club for so long. Now has taken the mantle of the Croco fan club, so if Chronicler leads your fan club, be a little bit nervous, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't necessarily been great for either of these players.
The Bulldog fan club was kind of, it's now that he's left, it's doing better now, you know?
Yeah.
It's doing better now.
But once he, you know, isn't in that position anymore, as I'm going to have to hold that thought. Zeus taking a couple of turret shots that he seems to be able to ignore. Paranoia at the ready here for Willa. Spotted on a control ward. Closer was rotating up. Faker not doing the same thing. So he's going to get some free shots on this outer turret. Maybe only a few of them. as he does get himself out.
Yeah, not too bothered here, T1, on in terms of like they got shut down on that top push because the turret is down, right? You have Faker getting some additional farm here, but Liv Sandbox handled it well and had great control vision around the jungle, knowing that Faker could TP in on a flank, making sure that does not happen. But as they reset here, Liv Sandbox now are going to get, for the first time, real strong Drake prio in this game here. And with the setup they have here with so much backline access, it's hard to actually approach this. Zeus sweeping around the other side, but I think T1 should just let this go. Now they're going to turn this into a turret in mid. Liv Sandbox, can they punish? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, this could be a double charge. This is just a macro outplay here by T1 in the mid lane. Zeus just blocking Birdle's advance, who wants to try and get over here and start some sort of fight. Teddy by himself right now, but there is that double charge, and it's just double turrets in this mid lane. Liv Sandbox, I don't know whether one Chemtech Drake is worth the money of two.
And the answer is no, it's not. Sadly, unfortunately, for Liv Sandbox fans here. But at least they're able to get one solo Drake. I mean, it's not for nothing here. But I think what Liv Sandbox were hoping for was that T1 would be greedy and try to use the Herald to try to pull some prio over and try to then get both that mid turret as well as the Drake and try to pull Liv Sandbox around. And Liv Sandbox were in a position where they were like, you know, it is a Sion Gragas Azir comp. If we try to come over and deny the Herald, we probably are going to mess this up, right? There's a pretty high chance that Zeri gets caught. So they decided to just opt into their Drake, which was not the best call, but arguably the safest call, considering the game state. And now Zeri's on 2 items, right? I mean, she's scaling. Yep. So better just let that turret go, take a Drake, then allow T1 to really get back in the driver's seat. That does mean, of course, T1 picks up a ton of money here, but you're still relying on that Zeri scale, and you're going to have to play to it.
Yeah, we'll just see whether Liv Sandbox are going to be brute forced with the extra items, because, of course, now Gumayusi has his 2 items as well. They're really good ones also. Looks like he has 2 mythics, you know? That's how it feels to me. Still not quite used to it.
It's like the Gale Force is the former mythic that's the advisor to the mythic now.
yeah. And Kraken doing physical damage is actually now really good, like you were talking about on the Aphelios. So this 2-item spike is also feeling better than it would have ever felt in the past.
Certainly feels very good here. I really like it for the comp. Guma here trying to get some damage done here with the Zeri on his back. Keria helping him out. Does have his Helia, of course, online, or Helia, as I guess it's more often called. And T1 just have a lot of map control here with this mid turret down. You can see they could force threatening plays here, push Liv Sandbox back, and so it's not just gold you gain from that play, especially when you have an Azir.
Emperor's Divide is going to be avoided there as now Closer finds a charm onto Faker. Kyle is moving up, though Birdle's here as well. And I think Faker might be dead, guys. The crown was broken a while ago, and that is back-to-back charms here for Closer. Having a great performance in that particular 1v1 until Birdle comes over and says, I'll take that, thank you very much.
Yeah, Willer here doesn't have vision on where Guma is anymore. Guma should be able to get this back off for free, push that mid wave in. And Closer's going to now come over here and get some additional free farm. So a huge win for Liv Sandbox here, but at the same time, they're not able to turn it into anything further. Crown broken early by the Orb of Deception. Faker decides to look for the ult. Nice ult here in return from Closer to avoid, and now Faker, unfortunately, is a bit doomed. Bottom turret is going to go down, of course, to the Gragas. Zeus picking that one up. So it's not for nothing here. It's one of those trademark Faker moments. I'm going to die. We're going to get something, but not the ideal scenario they were looking for.
No, and they've also managed to defend every one of their turrets. It's now 4 turrets to 0 in favor of T1. So yes, Faker gets caught out, but that really demonstrates the state of the map is not in favor of Liv Sandbox.
It's really not.
Especially when they have to invest that much just to take down one Azir. Now, T1 move over towards this Baron, so I think the turrets are going to be ignored once more. So Liv Sandbox are required to get over here. There is no teleport on this Crocodile. And Zeus is standing on a control ward, not going to be able to body slam away here, as now we're looking for the turn. Fear is going to connect. Zeus already taking a lot of damage. He's kind of out of this fight, as there's the paranoia. Teddy setting up, getting into position. Another hook is going to connect, this time onto Oner as the final chapter comes on through. Emperor's Divide to get rid of Birdle, as now Gumayusi dashing forward. Teddy cleansing, flashing, getting the heck out of there. And T1, they lose no one, and now they're back on the Baron. These health bars on Liv Sandbox just cannot stand up to it.
Teddy just doesn't have ult here.
Oh, a very nice charm, and that's going to be the kill. It's a Duskbringer.
I mean, Teddy, if he can get back in here.
Oh, well, okay, 2000. There it is, the steal! And he gets out! This is what Willa does! Do not let him get in for these steals as Gumayusi's not even able to find the kill just yet. Closer, he goes golden. There is the stun onto Gumayusi and he's taken down. The cat finds another partner, but he's going to be knocked off again. And Live Sandbox, if it wasn't certified before, it bloody well is now. As Zeus, he's going to go down as well. Faker is like, I can't, guys. I can't. As the extendo beam comes through and they're like, Teddy, can you come back onto our team now? Please, as Faker is going to get the shield from the Shifting Sands, manages to get the kill onto Kyle. That's what we expect from the GOAT, but it's still a triple kill for the Zeri.
It's a triple kill for the Zeri, 5 kills now in total, and this team fight is wild. Now, they use the paranoia here to actually zone T1 a little bit and allow Teddy to try to get in here and do some damage. Look at how quickly T1, though, react and kite back during the ultimate, and unfortunately, it's a Scion who's caught by Kyle here, so there's just not a whole lot of follow-up damage. Guma's still full, Faker's there for his divide is decent, and it's at this moment in time, you go, okay, we won the fight, probably back out here as T1, but they decide to stay here because Guma's full health, he's got all those overheals, but it's so risky against a comp like this. They're holding the Baron so that they can hope to prevent a steal. Oner is sniped by Willer, and they still decide to stay here. Remember, Teddy's nearby. You're just asking for a Zeri moment with these low health bars here. He gets the steal, and then they double down forward, and I just don't think this is the right call here for Guma. You know they're low on health. You've got those overheals, but this comp can turn on a dime, and even Faker commits to the teleport here, and T1 doubled and tripled down on what will be a disastrous play for them here in the early late game.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff here from Live Sandbox, and honestly, like, we have to praise Live Sandbox for that moment, but T1 losing their jungler and then being like, oh, it's Willa, he's not going to steal it. I mean, that just seems like I don't know how you,
they opted into the 50-50, you know, and
it's not a
50-50. Yeah, it's not a 50-50. They opted into a risky Baron where they're like, well, he'll die if he goes for it.
Yeah, there's like the difference between 50-50 and donation.
Yeah, and then you like, we've seen so many of these Aphelios plays over the wall. We saw it yesterday too, where you're like, oh, I'm full, I got all these shields, I'm a beefy boy, and I'm gonna make it happen. But Zeri is still there. She left the fight, but she was still full health. And Teddy's going to show up, and he's going to get massive damage done. He's 2 levels up now. And, you know, Zeri is very strong. Obviously, there was some nerfs to Triforce, right? But Zeri herself untouched. Still, he doesn't care. He's still going for the Hydra build here. He does not care at all. And I think T1 created a Zeri problem for themselves in this game.
They did. I think that it was opportunistic from Teddy. I think he played very, very well to make sure that he was the benefactor of all of these moments. And if there's any player that you're ever okay with investing in for the future, it's Teddy.
Yeah.
It's the latest game carry that we've ever had in the history of League of Legends.
And this is exactly the dichotomy of the two players' identities we've seen so far this season, is that Guma has been stronger in early to mid. You put him on a pick like Aphelios, which is one of his first famous picks. He picked up a pentakill early on in 2021 on the pick when it was his first season as a starter after the Worlds qualifiers. But, you know, it's a pick he hasn't looked as strong on compared to his Draven, compared to his Lucian, whereas Teddy is just given these opportunities. Guma looks like he, with Faker, made the call to commit further over the Baron pit there with disastrous results. And now you can see the item value here higher for Zeri once again.
Yeah, the Zeri is most certainly that Zeri problem. And Kyle is also on this Nautilus that he's been playing exceptionally well. Yeah, he had that point-blank hook. You know, that's a hitbox problem. It's too wide. He wasn't able to aim for the other wall. That's fine. But hits back-to-back hooks in subsequent fights. Really plays it out well, as Oner's going to be able to donate over the second red buff to Gumayusi. No worries there at all. Teddy not able to steal that one away. And the Sandbox haven't been able to get too much out of this Baron buff, but still, they're ahead by over 2,000 gold now. And Zeri exists, right? And that is the problem that we're all looking at.
Yeah, and when you look at the build here, too, from Closer, he has Everfrost for lockdown. He also has the Banshee's Veil, which allows him to push further forward, to get on top of Guma or Faker. And now he's going to have a death cap for damage here very soon. I think he's probably about to buy it here. Hits level 16. So he and Teddy both hit 16 at the exact same time, which really tells the story of how fed this area is right now. But Closer is a huge threat in this game. Death cap completed, and Renekton went for the Sterak's, has Gore Drinker. We don't really like the state of Gore Drinker champions right now in this meta, but he is going to have the ability to get in there, heal up, threaten this Aphelios, threaten this Azir, and Live Sandbox's comp kind of plays itself when it has map control, because Nocturne can also prevent any sort of side laning here, any sort of split pushing from T1.
Yeah, and Gumayusi as well. I mean, he does have Cleanse. He has a stopwatch now as well. But Bertle's job is to just get on top of the Aphelios and hopefully kill him before he explodes. And Warden's Mail certainly going to help him out there. And does, of course, have that Sterix like you were talking about. But I think so much of this game will come down to Willa and how well he uses this Paranoia, because it doesn't feel like a synergy, but Paranoia plus Zeri existing in your game,
it's
actually
nightmare.
Very, very powerful. Because you use it and then you get to pick off that single target, and it's very difficult for the rest of the opposition team to collapse onto where the Zeri is. And then as soon as you sort of lose your coordinated structure of teamfight, Zeri will just take over. Now Closer is going to find Zeus here off to the side. No Spirit Rush necessary just yet as Teddy gets over this wall to clear out vision. They don't get that last ward, as Closer is still flanking. Bertle also might have to slice his way away. But no, Cat is going to be set up, and now Live Sandbox looking for the backside of this one. It's a decent hook attempt there from Kyle, but not going to find the slippery Gragas.
It's so fun to watch T1 do stuff like this, where they have Guma in such good position while they set up an Azir turret, get Perma Prio here, then kite over to Baron. They played this so well. Guma was never really under any threat, and now they're going to try to start this up and look for the turn.
Oh dear. Let's see whether Willa can do it again, as Bertle does have a great flank angle. This Baron is going down extraordinarily quickly, but they're holding it at about 3k. Live Sandbox now moving in Willa towards this pit right now as they're just trying to get rid of Bertle. They do not want him to be a problem, as now Baron is going to reset and the Phalanx will be put back together here by T1. Duskbringer spots out Zeus, and now they think that they are going to have the opportunity. Teddy gets over the wall, but Kyle is just eliminated before they can do anything. He cannot move quickly enough, and that is going to be the pickoff that T1 thinks gives them this Baron. And you know what? I think they're right.
And it looks like Liv Sandbox is just going to go with their tail between their legs here straight to their third Chemtech Drake of the game and say, well, this is all we can get out of this. There's not even any outer turrets we can pick up of money. And Bertle kind of blowing everything early in that fight, including his Dominus. So when he decides that he wants to go in and is zoned away, he's like, I'm ultless, I'm out here on a flank, I can't fight. And Kyle is looking for an angle, but he can't find one either. And T1 just masterclassed their way through using the Azir turret in mid, getting that prio, kiting over to Baron, having better positioning here. There are no real threats for Guma in this fight, as look at where Renekton is. You can't even see him, he's so far away, he's miles away. And that's all it takes. They just turn on to Kyle. And it's almost like you could put, you know, when you turn on screen lock and the champion is centered? Guma is like centered in T1. Everyone is blocking for him. He cannot be collapsed on. He's exactly where he needs to be. And Liv Sandbox can't front to back this without really initiating onto one of those squishy targets, and they can't do it without Renekton.
Yep, they're just making sure that they center their camera on their AD carry at all times. It does make some sense here as Teddy's going to get slowed down a little bit, but he should otherwise be okay. His Kraken Slayer is now completed as well, actually. So 4 items on this Zeri. Is now Zeus looking for Bertle, but now the engage. Paranoia comes down the cast. Fantastic to break up the fight, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough here as Faker looks to come in. Teddy's going to avoid the Empress Divide. Kyle not so lucky. The Aphelios is already dead, though. It's Sandbox's fight. Teddy's alive, but he's not shooting anyone because he cannot get over the wall. The charm from max range, and Faker will be taken out. Another Zeri moment for Liv Sandbox, and now they should be able to take some pretty decent turrets.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is going to be permanent damage to the base here. Liv Sandbox going to now just push down mid. Both teams playing this fight incredibly well, but Liv Sandbox just had so many tools, and they used them extremely well. Even with the stopwatch coming through from Guma, he is just not able to survive. And this should be at least an inhibitor going down here. T1. 15 seconds on Guma, so that should be enough to defend. Liv Sandbox grab this. Can they grab more?
Now the charm is going to connect here. Closer has been playing so well, but Zeus is mega tanky. He's got the best damage item in the game as well, as Teddy's trying to get through him, but it's not going to work out there as Zeus does get pushed away. And he will, at least save the rest of his base. Trying to keep them busy here, as you can see. Still, Baron's rotating around these two players. Teleport not available for Faker, as he has just respawned. So Zeus just trying to be frustrating, delay some resets.
It's so crazy how well they got on top of Guma here. So look at this hook from Kyle. He uses Gragas to then get in range to ult Guma, who then has to stopwatch. Look at the timing of this charm out of stopwatch. He then Gale Force flashes away, and Faker's Emperor's Divide just can't catch all these sticky threats. They're on top of Guma, and while they're trying to peel for him, Teddy is at full health. You get another fear here, and it's time for another Zeri moment. Look at this charm max range here on the Faker as well. It's beautiful. Two fantastic charms from Closer in this team fight, and Teddy just cleans up house. This was so clean.
It was amazing. And you know what feels the best? Having a game where you don't have to vote for the Zeri if she's going to be on the winning team, right? Because Closer has just played exceptionally well. Yes, 2-1-8 isn't the most impressive scoreline, but these charms have just been so good from this guy.
Yeah, I like his build. You know, he's playing Ahri very well here, and you know, it's not the maximum amount of damage you could get with Ahri, but I think it's the maximum amount of damage you could get when you're starting Everfrost. You get Banshee's Veil for, again, being sticky, like I was saying, getting on top of these targets. And, I mean, Teddy's level 18, and this is just how it goes, right? GA likely to be the final item for him here in this game. And, I mean, Guma's level 16. He also is sitting on 4 items. He's a big, strong Aphelios himself, but it's really just about execution here. And Live Sandbox, I mean, I really liked how Kyle used the Gragas there to make sure he could get the ult on top of Guma. Yeah. If you lock this guy down for long enough, not only will you eventually kill him, but he was in stasis for so long, he couldn't offer any damage back either.
And Teddy doesn't have a lot of armor penetration, which worries me just a little bit, but he still will do a fair bit of work. It's just that I see the Thornmail on Oner, and it's going to be difficult to get through that guy. Maybe that's not really what they're going to be focusing on. There is now a Void Staff complete onto Closer.
You just kill the tank slash.
Kill everyone around it.
Yeah, kill the tank slash.
Yeah. As now Kyle looks for Gumayusi. There is the Paranoia used as well. A lot of investment by Live Sandbox. And that is now a long cooldown that they won't have available. 25 seconds, but thankfully for Live Sandbox, they don't need to worry about Soul Point because they managed to get to one themselves. And I think that's what they're going to miss out on. 1 minute on the Baron is the more important cooldown to be looking out for here. As this is now win a team fight, win the game.
Yeah, it really is. Straight up 35 minutes in. Chemtech Soul with 4 of them. I mean, it's relevant, especially when you consider Zeri is going to enjoy all of that additional damage while below 50%. And T1, they're just going to give this one up, but they're getting Baron Prio. Now, it's a bit early for this, but Live Sandbox will have a lot of control right now. And what is T1 really threatening counter-wise, right? They got the solo Drake, which doesn't matter. They don't have any turrets they're threatening. It's going to be perma mid-prio here with this set of super minions. So Live Sandbox just kind of get the setup for this one essentially on spawn, and T1 will have one big chance here, one big opportunity in this team fight to utilize their tanks and an Emperor's Divide correctly, but you have to kill Teddy twice in this team fight. And with how the engages have been going for Live Sandbox with the vision control they have, look at all these control words. Like, how do you get in here? It's going to be so hard for T1.
And thankfully, Paranoia for Willa is now back off cooldown, so not going to be fully punished for that outside of losing the Dragon. Another battle in about 4 minutes' time, you have to think. But Baron is now back up again, and that is going to be the next thing that these teams are going to be looking out for.
They have so much prio here. Like, every single setup is in, like, look at all the vision and lack of vision here for T1. How do you come in here? You have to slowly clear these wards with your tank. Zeus and Oner leading the charge. Guma, he's got a little bit of overheals here. There's the shield from Yuumi. Guma has to pop off in this fight with Faker, or this is a done deal.
This is the first time that the setup has been on Live Sandbox. They do manage to find the hook. The charm is there on Oner as well. He's taking so much damage. Thornmail or no, still will survive for the moment. And they can't afford to let him go down. We saw what happened last time, remember. The Baron was just picked up as another hook will connect, this time onto the other tank, who's soaking a lot of damage. Kyle doesn't have too many more of them in him. That health bar is getting very low. Closer on that flank angle.
Yeah, he is spotted by this ward here. They're going to let him know as well. He's going to move away. Oner trying to get some of that healing back here, but Yuumi just doesn't offer the same amount of sustain she used to. And on Jungle Scion here, you're just slowly trying to get it back here, shielding his way forward.
These health bars are really starting to whittle down. Paranoia comes through yet again as Teddy locks down a kill under the jungler, but the health bar lead is still there for T1. It is still relevant as Kyle is completely out of this battle. Willa at full health, Bertle pretty healthy as well, but so is Gumayusi. And he is the most important part as they turn onto Bertle, and he's just gonna have to flash, but he's still going to die. And now Closer, the next straggler, lives Sandbox. You have to get some control here as he looks to try and get out. The Spirit Rush going to be there. Okay, it's decent as Teddy now thinks it's his opportunity. They managed to lock down Zeus, but already Kyle is just eliminated. He does cleanse, and Teddy gets exhausted, has to flash. The final chapter is going to be there, and the Zeri will go down to the GA. Goodbye, Ari. And live Sandbox. They tried to get it done, but 1,000 gold into the coffers of Faker.
Oh, the team fight was surgical from T1, finding single targets and looking for those single target eliminations, pushing Kyle back, splitting the team fight in two, and the experience of T1 definitely showing through here on what looked like it was almost a done and dusted team fight. They kill the Scion, wait out the zombie, but are unable to regroup because Faker's making plays on both sides of the fight. T1 push to end.
Yeah, Bertle is going to be up, but I don't know whether one lone Crocodile is going to be enough as Willa dives forward, wants to try and kill these minions as best he can. Bertle does a decent job of that as he's going to get knocked up, will get taken down. There is no more minions left, so at least there's that. As Paranoia going to come through yet again. Willa just trying to do anything that he can, but it's going to be a probable triple kill here for Gumayusi in the back end as Zeus not going to allow that one to happen. Closes turn to run through, does pad that KDA a little bit, but T1